Louis Kavouras, and this is UNLV Arts Worldwide, and welcome to our episode where we delve into interdisciplinary thinking. And this is our Dean Nancy Uscher. Hi, Nancy.
Hi, Louis. How are you today?
I'm excited about interdisciplinary thinking, and it's been a subject that I know myself and my department have been so passionate about where the arts come together. So, Nancy, thank you for this idea that you had about interdisciplinary thinking.
Louis, today in our episode, we have some great interviews where we talk about blurring the boundaries of different knowledge sectors because this is the best way we can really serve society. You know, while it's important for us all to have specializations, and we hear we need, each of us needs to be able to offer specialized knowledge to the world, the way we really look at solving what society needs is actually much more complicated. It's addressing complexity through the blurring of boundaries between and among disciplines. Louis, I'd like to tell you and our audience a story about my memory of a very prominent scholar who came to do a graduate seminar in the humanities at the University of New Mexico many years ago when I was a professor there. And he told the faculty, who are faculty scholars in pretty specialized fields in the humanities and social sciences primarily, that when he was called upon to advise presidents, when he walked into the Oval Office, he could no longer just be a specialist in history, which was his scholarly field. He needed to be able to look at the world and its problems and complexity in order to, contribute to the knowledge of the president, who was obviously, our presidents have to cope with a great deal in trying to help society move forward. And so he gave this advice to the humanists in the room, saying, it's all well and good that you have specializations, but in order to really help move society forward, you need to look at the complexity and the problems and the ways in which society needs to, understand what the future will be in order to help. And I think that our universities, our own university, a wonderful public university, UNLV, and all universities throughout the world are really there to create knowledge to serve the public and to serve society. And therefore, it's all the more important that we talk about what it's like to cross specializations, to integrate knowledge.
I love that, Nancy. You know, I had a professor in college, a mentor, who said, you never understand the building that you're in if you don't step outside of it, you
So
know, and look at it from afar. So you have to have multiple points of view. And I'm just reminded that the problems of the future are interdisciplinary problems that require teams to solve them. Not that our original arts will go away or morph into something else, but it's just wonderful to be able to use those skills to change the world.
I am delighted to welcome Moira Scott Payne to our program today, in which we're delving into ideas about interdisciplinary thinking, blended knowledge, practice-led research, all these wonderful ways of looking at the world and looking at education and knowledge and the arts. Moira Scott Payne has been an inspiration to me. During the time that she was provost at Cornish College of the Arts in Seattle, I was president some years ago, and really was inspired and learned a lot from what Moira brought to the college. These days, she is president of the newest art college in the United States, the Kentucky College of Art and Design. Welcome, Moira, and we're delighted you're here today.
Yeah, and congratulations on your school. Wonderful.
Oh, thank you. It's a robust little school. It's kind of awesome.
Moira, one of the areas that's always interested me about your thought processes and how you look at the world is the way you frame ideas. I remember when we were speaking about ideas and how education should move forward for the future at Cornish, you helped start something we call the Creative Corridor. You formed with your team a foundation course for our students that was really just rich with blended knowledge. When you came from Scotland, you taught me that in the UK, and I think this is largely about you as an individual artist as well, framed research as practice-led research. Just now we were talking about one of the projects you had at Cornish, in which you talked about applied arts at the intersections. I just will say you have a way of looking at knowledge and a way of describing it, articulating it, that I find incredibly thought-provoking. How do you come up with these frameworks?
Oh, thank you, Nancy. Thank you for all the nice things you've just said. I think probably, I was trained as a very traditional painter, and I realized that in order to bring painting along and to continuously work on evolving the subject, that painters needed to find new ways of thinking, new bodies of knowledge to connect to. So as a painter, I was interested in interdisciplinary thinking. And then I began to realize that actually all of the arts had the potential to begin to cross-refer, find linguistic practices between their material cavities and spaces that would enlarge knowledge, because we're caught within our own languages, and the languages define us and they build the boundaries around our individual subjects, so that when you begin to reach beyond your own language, you find nuances, I think, between bodies of knowledge. So it's interesting just amongst the arts, but then even when the arts begin to reach out beyond their own subjects, there's a whole world of meaning out there, and it becomes very interesting. So I think I started from just a kind of a knowledge of traditional painting.
I know that you have always been very keen to look at art and science and find the really meaningful intersections and blendings between the worlds of art and science. Would you like to talk about some of the projects that most interest you these days along those lines?
I'd love to, Nancy. Just recently, my small college, Kentucky College of Art and Design, has embarked on a partnership with the University of Louisville and the Institute of the Envirome. And they've been doing a local project, a COVID-19 project, where they're doing a testing project. They're testing for antibodies, for infection, and also testing in wastewater. And so they invited us to come as a group of artists to respond to their work. And I think more and more scientists are beginning to understand that artists have the ability to connect complex knowledge to the layperson. And that's an easy role for the artist to step into. But what becomes really exciting is when you bring a group of artists with different backgrounds, you bring a curator, a designer, and a sculptor together to respond to the same data and knowledge, you then begin to unpack that knowledge and communicate it, translate it in different ways. And so we've been working on this project just recently. We got funding, local funding from Louisville, and we worked on their research for about 4 weeks, and we put together what we called at least 10 artifacts. So the group of 3 that I brought together, Kaikai brought together, produced the most incredible work. It was everything from beautifully designed face masks with messages across them, stickers for after, these were the humble, simple things, little stickers. After everybody was tested, they would get a sticker as if they'd been to the dentist. And then really complex projects that used Raspberry Pi, digital media that were responding to real-time science as the data was coming in. These growing, moving sculptures were developing in relation to the live science. And, so we had a whole range of responses. It was, I found it fascinating, and I hope they did. I hope the scientists did, but I found it fascinating, and it reminded me again of the breadth of the potential of our ways of speaking and knowing as artists.
And when I hear you talk about this creation of this new learning environment, of which you're president, I also go back to some of the early discussion we were having today about the opportunity to create knowledge in a way that will be very meaningful for society. And that's, I think, what you're doing and what you're promoting, what you're encouraging for your faculty.
I think that's why the funders are funding this school, Nancy, because they believe that the Art College has the potential to make a difference in the world. They genuinely do. And, Owsley Brown III is constantly saying to me, remember to think big. Don't sink into the detail. Remember to think big. The ambitions for this learning opportunity for the students, the ambitions for this college are about changing the world. And that's his directive to me. I mean, what are the chances of me finding this man? I mean, that's what he tells me. Go make a difference in the world. And, it's spectacular. They are a wonderful family.
What I think about when you speak about the big ideas is this is exactly what we all need to carry us through this time. Yes. We need to push away anything small.
Yes.
We need to all be thinking big and think way into the future and sort of, catapult above, be very safe and careful, of course, but we need to keep our sights on the future in a very exciting way. And, Maura, your words are really important and inspiring right now, I think, for all of us as we negotiate, as we navigate through this crisis in our world. But really to think about big ideas in the future is, I think, exactly what we need.
It is. And, like education, those of us in education, it's tough. You have to remind yourself about the potential and for education. It's a wonderful world to be part of.
Louis, did you want to add any other comments or questions?
Thank you for being bold. And, I'm always reminded that the artists are making such a difference right now. Nancy, when we began our series, said that the arts are an essential service. And yes. I think the artists are going to help us through. So I can't wait to see the artists that your school produces and what they do.
Thank you. Well, we've worked with the local ballet too, Louis. Robert leads this local ballet, and I had only arrived in Louisville for, I'd been 3 minutes, and Robert said, okay, Maura, let's work together. And so we brought the dancers, we cleared the studios, and we brought the dancers into the studios. And we did this wonderful event where there was sort of series of small dances happening in different parts of the studio. and we had VR, and we had some of it screened from one part of the studio to the other. We had, you know, different sets of lighting. It was just like a little dance festival happening in our studio space. And the audience loved it because they were so close to the dancers. You know, it was kind of an intimate setting, and it was such a delight. It really was. It was great. It was, I miss the dance department at Cornish. You know, like, it really introduced me to dance and taught me things I didn't know. I had a lot to learn, and, you know, so it was great to reach out to Louisville Ballet.
We are delighted today to welcome two very distinguished guests, both wonderful deans at University of Nevada, Las Vegas, UNLV, Dr. Rama Venkat, Dean of the Howard R. Hughes College of Engineering at the university, and Dr. Stowe Shoemaker, Dean William F. Hurrah College of Hospitality. And Stowe has been with us in a prior episode as well. We're very grateful to have you here today to talk about the subject of interdisciplinarity, how you both feel about the world of knowledge when you cross traditional disciplines and you blend knowledge sectors, both in teaching and in research. So welcome, and we really look forward to your comments and your perspectives today.
Thank you for including us.
Yes, thank you for including us. It's great to be back on your program, and it's an honor to come back twice, and an honor, obviously, to be talking here with one of my favorite deans at the university beside you, Nancy, is Rama over in engineering, a great partner in the university.
You know, we do have a great group of deans at the university, and I think that bodes very well for this kind of thinking, imagining what new ideas can be explored and researched in our world, both as models for our students, new models of pedagogy and models of research. And so I know that both of you have had very distinguished careers as scholars, of course, and as leaders, and promoting some of the most forward-looking ideas on behalf of your students. So when they go out into the world, they are really prepared for today's careers, but also careers that might not even exist yet. How do you see that?
So you want to take it?
No, you can take it, Rama.
Okay. Yeah, actually, I was just thinking about now that we are talking about interdisciplinary degree programs, I was thinking how we started segmenting it as engineering or civil engineering or dance or music. How did it come about in the world? I didn't know how it came about. So my parents said, you're going to be an engineer. I became an engineer. I never thought about, should I have been dance or music or hospital? I never thought about it. So thinking about it, I think it's an artificial creation of human beings. That's what I think it is. Because most problems in life, as I see it, it just doesn't have a technology or engineering component. Technology and engineering may bring a solution to it, but there are social aspect or a fine arts type of an aspect or an entertainment aspect. All of that is embedded in it. I think we try to somehow cut them into pieces and say, okay, learn this, learn that, and then come back, and if you have a whole, come back and learn it. I think we are artificially creating it. Now we are trying to put it back on and say, hey, let's create an interdisciplinary degree. For example, our experience design degree program, right? Actually, life is experience. And the design may be coming from an entertainment viewpoint. It could be something coming, helped with a technology. It could be a lot of different things that are brought together for a degree program like that. So I'm really, I think, even though human experiences are interdisciplinary, we have created these degree programs for whatever reason, we have created them. Now we are closing the circle and coming back and say, let's put an interdisciplinary degree program and have the student all the knowledge that they need for making that work. So I think we are basically closing the cycle. That's what I see.
Yeah, very interesting. Thank you.
Oh, go ahead, Nancy.
No, I was just going to say, what an interesting perspective. Thank you for sharing that. So how are you seeing this area?
A lot of what Rama said is very true. I think, I look at it from this perspective as we're educating our students to be well-rounded individuals. But, the way the United States has moved, it's about you get a college degree so you can get a job. We've become very job-focused. And so how do we prepare our students to be good citizens, to be educated citizens, but also employable citizens, because they're paying money to become employable. And what I've kind of realized over time is that the problems facing industry, whether it's hospitality or medicine or anything, are really require people who can think multidisciplinary, right? You can be a surgeon, but you have to understand how anesthetics work, right? You have to understand all the things that lead up to a specific point in surgery. And so I think what we're trying to do is to say, by creating this interdisciplinary, is to say, yes, we've become experts as faculty in a specific area, whether it's mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, or in my case, hospitality. But when the students graduate, they're not just going to be a mechanical engineer. They're not just going to be in operations, but they have to understand a whole aspect of what it does to take care of a guest, whether that's a hospitality guest, whether it's an engineering client, whether it's an architecture. So how do we give the students the broad base of things coming together? And I think it's different than, a traditional liberal arts education, which really taught about, the arts and the sciences and all of the traditional liberal arts. What we're saying is we're taking basically applied disciplines and applying a liberal arts approach to them so that the student is learning many different things, but we're helping them see the connections between them, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Very, very interesting.
Yeah. So that's how I look at it.
What do you both think about the future, the world of work, the skills, the knowledge that our students are going to need to succeed? I know that you work with students all the time. And you're first and foremost really among many educators that I can think of who are promoting ideas of internships, working with industry, co-op, and those kinds of experiences. What do you see as optimum for our students for the future, and looking at knowledge broadly the way you're both describing it?
Yeah, let me take that one. I've been thinking about the education that we've been giving, and it's based on certain number of credit hours, time periods of 8 semesters or 4 years. So when we start doing this, and then we say, student is required to learn this, learn that. So you put all of that, finally you're left with very few limited free electives. I personally think students have to be taught to work in teams. Number one, they need to be working on solving problems. So this brings me to All In College I think they're in Boston, probably you've heard of them. They came up with an engineering degree program. It's an endowed college. Very unique program. I really like the program. It's a project-based education. So there is no electrical engineering curriculum or mechanical engineering curriculum. You go as a freshman, they give you a problem. The problem is, let's build a flying machine. So the students go to biology class and ask the question, how does a butterfly fly? What does it need? Then they learn, it has wings. So why do you need wings? Oh, you need aerodynamics. What do you need aerodynamics? So I need some math, some physics. So you start from a project as a group. And of course, you need very good mentors who have very strong knowledge in a lot of different areas where to direct the students. And then they learn from there what they need and go, instead of taking Calculus 1, a 300-page book, and a Physics 2, 500-page book. They are not learning all of it without any context. And then suddenly when they come in a junior year or senior year, we say, this is the context. A lot of time we lose students that way, and we are not inspiring. We are not preparing them for the future. I think project-based type of learning would really be the future. And that is the way we are going to inspire our students and keep them in the college and prepare them for the market.
And I would
Okay.
I'm sorry, Nancy.
No, go ahead. I was just saying how that's very thought-provoking, that kind of delivery of education at Owen. Go ahead, Steph.
And I would say that what we're doing in the hospitality college is I think the idea of a project-based curriculum, which is what the UNLV School of Medicine is working towards too, is a problem-based curriculum. It's really about finding students that have a passion for the area that they want to study, whether it's engineering, medicine, or hospitality, and then providing them with the skill set to pursue that area of interest, and giving them lots of work experience, project experience that makes them really solidify whether or not they really want to do that. And what we've done in our college is we were very much a traditional college where it took 85 credits to graduate with a hospitality degree. the remaining credits would belong to the university. And of those 85 credits, 75 were required. So every student took every course, and it was pretty much lockstep and very few electives. But we redid our curriculum a few years ago. In fact, in 2000, this fall will be the first year that it's been implemented. We actually reduced the core from 75 credits to 55 credits. So now our students have 30 credits of electives, which are essentially 10 classes. And the thought is that you could get a concentration with 15 credits. So now the idea is everybody takes a core set of classes that really represents the foundation of hospitality and service. And now we'll start building concentrations, whether it be, on the gambling side or the convention side or the experience design side or, hospitality design. But it gives the students a real flexibility to focus on an area that they love and get the experience around that. And we envision the project is the internships, it's the work experience, it's the projects that come along by focusing on that curriculum. And that's how we've taken, what Rama talks about with the flexibility and putting it into the hospitality school at UNLV.
Sounds like a great progressive idea, that you're working with, and food for thought, I may say, for other colleges too. I know how hard that is to accomplish. So congratulations. It's really tough to make that kind of a fundamental change, but it's wonderful when you can be addressing what you think is best for the future of our students through that kind of fundamental change. Congratulations.
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, it was really, the way we did it, essentially, we brought in a gentleman named Michael Horn, who is an expert in really innovation and why innovation fails. He was really founded the Christensen Institute with Ted Christensen from Harvard and really looked at education. And we brought industry in, we brought our faculty in, obviously our staff, our alumni, and we spent a day really taking a look at where's the future of education. And we had huge buy-in from our faculty, and the faculty really controlled the whole redesign of the curriculum, which was amazing. It's one of the things that I think our college will be known for, is that this innovative approach to curriculum and hospitality.
Thank you. Louis, did you want to say something? I think I heard you.
This idea of a degree in experience design is fascinating to me because we live in a city, Las Vegas, which is all about experience. How do you see these students changing Las Vegas, with the skills in these various disciplines?
I will let Stowe take this one first.
So it's interesting, I talked a little while ago about liberal arts education, but Jim Murrin, who just retired from the chairman of MGM Resorts, he really studied art and literature, art history, I believe, but it was a liberal arts education. Mr. Steve Wynn, liberal arts education from Penn. And they basically took what they learned from a liberal arts education and applied it into business. And so what our view is that in the hospitality field, we have to take care of the customer. But really taking care of the customer is not just giving them good service. The whole idea we talk about in the literature that there's really 4 components to the service. There's the actual physical service that the guest can touch and feel, whether it be the blanket or the pillow, the point count of the sheets. It's the service delivery, what happens when the service is actually delivered. It's the service product, which is what the consumer is buying. And then it's the service environment, which is everything that happens around that. And we know that what I'm expecting to have happen is going to be dependent a lot about when I walk into the property. If I see long lines at the front desk, that's where I need to go. Well, that means it's going to be crowded. So all of those 4 elements come together to provide a great experience. And each of those components, we can talk about it in engineering, we can talk about it in fine arts. And so for our students to get a 360-degree view of what actually happens in a hospitality experience, they have to be involved in these different areas. And that's what I think led to the design of this concentration or a degree in the experience design, so the students really understand what it's all about.
Right. I think as Stowe said, for the entertainment industry and the hospitality industry, definitely experience matters, right? That's why people come to Las Vegas. So of course, we need to understand what the client wants. The clients are changing, right? The millennials are very different from what our generation is. So we need to understand the client, which is dynamically changing. As we understand their experience, we need to design technologies and ideas and operations which enhances that experience. So that's what we have to be doing in terms of this degree program. So in my opinion, this degree program is not going to be, we create the curriculum today, we are done. I think this curriculum will keep evolving as experiences change and people expect different things from us and new technology modalities come into play. We got to implement them. That's one aspect I really think we will change entertainment industry with. The other thing I'm always interested in is technology innovation in Las Vegas. I always believed that we should not depend on any one particular type of revenue source for the state, right? The state has always been affected by this mining industry, sales tax, and entertainment industry brought in revenues. They're great things. But when the economy goes down, we need to have fallback positions. So I always believe we need to create our own Las Vegas Apple type of product. So that Apple product, if you really look at it, it's an experience. It's not a technology product, right? It looks so beautiful. It is so, just looking at it, you say, my God, why is a phone looking, I'm used to the phones which look like rectangles and bulky, you know what I'm saying? This is so nice, beautiful curves, and the way it is designed, right? That is real experience design, in my opinion, in a small box. I want those kinds of companies to take root in Las Vegas. I've always said, and I said this in a couple of interviews in the past, the media interviews, I don't want our students to be just employees. I want them to be employers in Las Vegas. I want them to create their own businesses. So if three deans together, we can create a few startups with experience design as the backbone. Think about it, what we would have done to Las Vegas.
That's inspiring. Both of you are so inspiring to hear. There's so much to think about. The main word that comes to mind in listening to you both is just possibility. There's so much possibility to make a difference, for our students to learn that they personally can make a difference in the world.
Canto primo. Nel mezzo del cammin di nostra vita mi ritrovai per una selva oscura che la verità mia era smarrita. Canto secondo. Lo giorno se ne andava e l'aria bruna toglieva gli animali che sono in terra dalle fatiche loro. Canto terzo. Per me si va nella città dolente, per me si va nell'eterno dolore, per me si va tra la perduta gente. Canto quarto. Ruppemi l'alto sonno nella testa un greve tuono, sì che mi riscossi come persona che per forza desta. Canto quinto. Così discesi del cerchio primaio giù nel secondo, che men loco cinghia e tanto più dolor che punge a guaio. Canto sesto. Al tornar della mente che si chiuse dinanzi alla pietà di due cognati, che di trestizia tutto mi confuse, nuovi tormenti. Canto settimo. Pape Satan a letto, cominciò Pluto con la voce pioccia, e quel savio gentil che tutto seppe disse per confortarmi. Canto ottavo. Io dico, seguitando, ch'assai prima che noi fossimo al piede dell'alta torre, gli occhi nostri in andar suso alla cima, per due fiammette che i vedemmo porre. Canto nono. Quel color che viltà di formi pinse, veggendo il duca mio tornare in volta, piuttosto dentro il suo nuovo ristrinse. Canto decimo. Or sen va per un secreto calle, tra il muro della terra e li martiri, lo mio maestro e io dopo le spalle. Canto undicesimo. In su l'estremità d'un'alta ripa, che facean gran pietre rotte in cerchio, venimmo sopra più crudele stipa. Canto dodicesimo. Era lo loco ova scender la riva, venimmo al pestro, e per quel che veranco tal, ch'ogni vista ne sarebbe schiva. Canto tredicesimo. Non era ancor di là nesso arrivato, quando noi ci mettemmo per un bosco, che da neun sentiero era segnato. Canto quattordicesimo. Poi che la carità del natio loco mi strinse, raunai le fronde sparte, e rendele a colui che era già fiore. Canto quindicesimo. Ora c'emporta l'unde duri margini, e il fumo del ruscel di sopra d'uggia, sì che dal fuoco salva l'acqua e li argini. Canto sedicesimo. Già era in loco onde s'udia il rimbombo dell'acqua che cadea nell'altro giro, simile a quel che l'arnie fanno rombo, quando tre ombre insieme si partirono.
Louis, one of the best aspects of doing this series of UNLV Arts Worldwide is the inspiration that we get out of it, as well as I know that our audience will be very appreciative as well. There's so much to think about, and I go back to some of the early words that we used when we first started, way back several months ago, about making meaning. Yes. And about being optimistic about the future. I think those are very important to hold dear at times like this.
Yeah, and I'm just so struck that on our episode today were these amazing leaders who are at the same time preserving their disciplines, the knowledge of their discipline, and passing that on, but at the same time they're innovating their disciplines. So and innovating it through interdisciplinary connections. So I adored that today, Nancy.
Louis, each week I feel that we open up a topic that is so rich. It has there's so much that we can learn and discuss that can be another way of celebrating education and the contribution that we as educators and artists can make, and of course celebrating our students and faculty, deans, and also colleagues from across the world. Which brings me to a topic that I want to share with the audience, which is that next week we're going to be talking about global research in the arts, and really also delving into some important areas. We're so grateful that all of you are with us today. We look forward to seeing you next week. And Louis will say,
reaching from Las Vegas to the world, this is UNLV Arts Worldwide.